talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Hi everyone. Make sure you guys hit the like button as you come in. I'm so sorry, y'all. I know I said I was going to come on to be live at 7 o'clock, but my mom came over. I had to help her, so mama had to blame. So I can tell you, blame it on my mama. But I am here today, guys. I'm gonna wait a few minutes for some people to enter in the chat, and then we're gonna get into this, guys. Because we definitely want to hear about the update that we have here on the good bishop, Dwight Reed. I do want you guys' opinions because, I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I know for sure this is how I feel. Many are called, but few are chosen. Few people are chosen to do God's work. And if you are one of his members and you are listening in, I do want to definitely let you know, God don't have a respect of a person who he chooses to bless. He blesses the just man and the unjust man. So yes, he may be blessed right now. He may be have all the riches of the world, but this man is not called by God. He's called by his own will. And that's just the way I feel. Hey, Coda, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Donna. Hey, Princess. Y'all, I know I'm late. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, but I'm here. I'm here. And I just want to say, I just want to say, it's very to hear you guys. We're gonna play this live back from Unmuzzled. This came from Bishop Senegal. So Bishop Senegal interviewed. He's on Clubhouse and I listened to it, and then it is on Facebook too to have access to it because he want to get the word out. Make sure y'all see the petition that I have pinned on top of the comments. If you have not signed that petition, please sign that petition so this pastor can be investigated because he has groomed. It is true that he has groomed more than Jordan and tried to groom more than Jordan. And what he did to his ex-wife, guys, we're going to listen to it in just a minute. I can honestly say it's saddening. It's saddening. But let me just say this. Somebody that has nothing will help you lose everything. And I'm going to be real about that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this, guys. We're going to listen to it. We're just going to listen to, we're not going to, because it's like 2 hours long. We're going to listen to the stepdaughter story about her mother. We're going to hear the mother speak. This is his third wife. The third wife speak on her experience. And then we're going to listen to Jordan's grandfather. Yeah. We're going to listen to Jordan's grandfather speak about his own son, how he's estranged from him, and how the family feels about Jordan marrying the good bishop. Let's get into this, guys. Welcome in. Y'all, it's Friday, so let's get into it. Let me share my screen now. Let's see.
Whatever spiritual strongholds has been released over the mind of that people in that city at large. When I spoke with one of the main news personalities in the city of Des Moines, and I asked her, I said, well, why hasn't your local news up until now even been talking about this. And her words to me was, Bishop, most of them are afraid. I don't know, afraid in particular of Dwight Reed and Christ's Apostolic Temple. So I don't know what kind of spirit has been released to cause that kind of intimidation. We're going to stand with leaders in your city, pastors in your city, and apostolically and prophetically confront that, not just in the natural, but also in the realm of the spirit, and to break that power. So again, April the 13th, we want you all to meet us there in Des Moines. If you are coming to the service, please be sure to register via the Eventbrite link that you should have received by way of text message today, and also it's posted there on my social media. All right, I see you all in the queue. I'm trying to invite you all to come up. Pastor Tony, you all right? Pastor Tony, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right here.
How you doing?
All is well, man. Had a good service. All is well.
Good. We appreciate you. Monty B, you're helping us out tonight. You handling British responsibilities. Monty. Paging Monty.
Okay, before we go any further, guys, I got 7 people in the chat and I have 2 likes. Man, please get these likes up before we go any further, guys. Please get the likes up. Press the like button. Thank you. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go ahead and play it now. Hold on, y'all.
All right, somebody send the angel of the Lord out to tap mine in the shoulder. Minister Tiffany, good to see you. Grace and peace.
Good to see you, Bishop. Glad to be here.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see if we can get this last person up. I'm sending you an invite up. If you're not following us on social media, you want to do that. Some people ask, how do we decide what matters we involve ourselves in as it relates to this advocacy work within the church? And we're sharing online periodically what our purpose is and how we kind of determine what it is that we're going to lend our voice to as it is within the context of our purpose and of our mission. This week past, there was an article that came out in the Des Moines Register. There are a couple of things I do, and I didn't think about it, but I do want to say there was a couple of things in there that was said that I said that language was changed. Number one, I have never said that in the apostolic church it's normal for teenagers to be being married off to 63-year-old men. This is absolutely not normal, which is why there is and should be such a cry. This is an anomaly to see, again, a 63-year-old pastor marrying a teenager and a child in this way. And I'll have to remember what the other comment was that was in the article, though I wish some different things were said, and I wish the article was arranged and constructed differently. I am grateful that media is beginning to bring attention to the conversation, and so we shared it on that wise. All right, let's see who we have. Dr. C. Hodges, grace and peace. How are you?
Praise the Lord, Bishop. How are you?
God's good to me. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. Thank you for asking.
Good. Share with us. You're up here tonight. Share with us.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Chantrell Hodges. I am Charlene, Carter's daughter.
Okay, all right.
My
I
mother.
didn't know that's who you were. All right.
Oh,
I didn't know. I'd actually sent your mother a text message and said, "Let me
like,
know
where is
you were
she?
already up here." Right. All right. So let me introduce you then. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Okay, yes.
So of course, those of you that have been following the conversation a bit, we shared with you all that this is Dwight Reed's fourth marriage, which in and of itself should be incredibly concerning for that particular church. A bishop who has four living spouses should be of great concern. Scripturally, it's of great concern. One of the reasons that we're concerned, beyond just the obvious, but one of the reasons that we are concerned about the well-being of Jordan, the well-being of okay, thank you. I got the text. Thank you. I'll come back to that. The well-being of Jordan is because of some of the information that we received about some of the home dynamics prior to and in some of these previous relationships. And so I was able to speak with several of the past ex-wives, and one of them, her daughter, was gracious enough to talk with Bree and I at length and kind of shed some light on some of the things that were also transpiring in, is it Shreveport or Bossier?
Shreveport, Bossier, they're right next to each other, so it's almost like one and the same, similar.
Got it. So some of the things that were transpiring while he was pastoring there before reappearing in Des Moines to take over the church. So this is Dwight's former stepdaughter from his third marriage, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So share with us what you saw, what you experienced, and just let us hear from you.
Yes, sir. So hello, everyone. As Bishop mentioned, I am the daughter of his third wife, and my mother married Dwight when I was in high school. I was a senior in high school, and I remember my mother making mention to me that she was getting married. Now, when she brought this to my attention, I knew that my mother had been single for a while, to my knowledge. We had just left from a summer convention, and this was maybe like a few months, 3, 4, 5 months or so after that my mother made it known to me that they were getting married. And I just remember asking her, well, who are you getting married to? Because to my understanding, there was no one in the church, at our local church that we were going to, that she was, interested in or anything like that. And when it was brought to my attention that it was Dwight Reed, all I knew was that he was the presiding bishop's son. So I was like, well, what does he have to want with my mom? But okay. Because I know that we were raised within the church and taught that it is better to marry than to burn. And when they used that scripture, it was in reference to intimacy, not fornicating, and that sort of thing. So I said, okay, well, clearly my mother is interested in this man and he is interested in her. My apprehension was that I really didn't know him. I knew that my mother didn't really know him because he wasn't someone that she spoke to regularly. I do remember her, kind of being closed off and, talking more on the phone. But to me, that was not enough to know someone to marry them. The wedding happened, And I remember my mother telling me that she was going to go down to Louisiana with him to prepare things for us to come down. And when she said us, she mentioned myself and my sister Jasmine and her daughter. So I said, okay. I was with my aunt. This was the beginning of the year, like around homecoming time. I went to homecoming, and I remember my mother coming back to get me, and we moved to Louisiana. That first day that we got there, we did not have access to our our apartment, and we had to stay in some it was like a rundown truckers motel off the side of the highway. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is this? And I remember my mother telling me that when she went to be with him to prepare for us to come, he didn't have anything. He didn't have a home. He was living with his other daughter. He didn't have a car. He didn't have any of the things that most people consider to be essential for marriage. And even at a young age, I knew that if a man is seeking a wife, he should have himself somewhat together, whether, it's a home, an apartment, credit, house, all of these things. But he did not have that. Which was clearly evident upon when, the hotel that we had to stay in when we got there. We moved into a townhouse, but it was a flat. And when we got there, that's kind of when everything just kind of started coming out. We went to the church. I remember the first day I walked into the church, it was it used to maybe be a store or something. It was not well kept, not well maintained, but you could tell that they had tried to make it presentable for, praise and worship and just service. And, I'm like, wow, like, what is this that now we are in? Because, we did not come from that. So, as I said, I was a senior and I was out, I was busy. My mother, she helped Dwight because he said he wanted to open up a store. And he asked her, because I had gotten a settlement from a car accident. We were T-boned leaving, in fact, a church convention one time. And the car we were in got T-boned. So I received some money. And he knew about this. So he asked my mother to ask me if I would be interested in making an investment in the store. So he tells me then that, if what you give me, I'll give you $400 a month, and you can set that money aside and do what you want to do with it. And, as long as the store is in business, you'll always have this money coming into you. And, I'm like, hey, I don't really have much to do with the money that I was given. Why not make an investment and stack on it? I've, always been very financially savvy. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Not knowing his character, not knowing who he was or anything. So I made that investment. And shortly thereafter, the first month came where I was supposed to receive my money. Well, I didn't receive anything. When I went to talk to him about it, he had an attitude like I should not have been asking him about my money. And he said, well, the store didn't do good this month. I got you. Next month, it's going to be fine. I got expenses and, store stuff, church stuff, this and that. I'm going to get you your money. I'm going to get you your money. Well, I waited. The next month came. Nothing happened. He didn't come to me and I didn't go to him. I said, I'm going to just see how long this is going to play out with me not getting my money from him. So, time progressed and things were coming up. Senior year was kind of coming to a close. And I remember my mother telling me something about when, he would give her money, for the day, she would have to get it out of the register at the store. And the money that he gave her was from the sales at the store, but that money was only for her to buy food for that day. So my mother did not have any sort of money, an allowance or any sort of finances coming from her husband to where she could do things, as far as getting her hair done and that sort of thing, he would allocate those as necessary for her. If she needed her hair done, then he'd give her the money to get her hair done. It wasn't like you get this amount every month and you can do what you need to do. So my mom, started telling me, well, I'm buying less expensive stuff so that I can have, cash, just extra money if I want to do something for you or, anything like that. You're getting ready to go to college, blah, blah, blah. So, as my year wrapped up, I had things coming up and I mentioned it to him again, like, hey, you said I would have this money you give me monthly for an investment that I made in the store. I need to buy my prom dress. I want to do this and that because my mama don't have the money, and I got my money because I'm working, but I don't want to spend my paycheck on this if I'm supposed to have money from this investment that I made in the store. And again, he got an attitude.
Not just that, at this time, you're still in high school, right?
And at this time, I'm still in high school. This time I'm still in high school because I'm looking to pay for my senior expenses, yearbook, ring, prom, senior trip, picnic, all of those things. And I did not want my mother to have to pay it because I knew the financial situation that she was in. And my mother never had been in any sort of situation like that. My mother had amazing credit. She always had money, extra money. In fact, when we came down there, we were the only two that had cars. My mom had her vehicle, I had my vehicle, and Dwight didn't have a car. So, we were well taken care of before we got there because my mother made sure of that. And, he got mad at me. And he's like, I don't have it. I told you I don't have it. You know what's going on in the store and this and that. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know? I don't do anything in the store like that. So he then offered me to work in the store and was like, well, you can make some money like that and, whatever. So I said, okay, well, I'll work in the store, but I still need my money. So he goes to my mom and gets upset with my mother for me coming to him about my money. Fast forward, I never got my money at that time. I went off to college. And of course, I'm in school doing all that I needed to do in school. Maybe 4 or 5 months into school, I noticed that I was sick. Come to find out I was pregnant.
Okay. Yes, Princess, to answer that question, yeah. Basically, this man conned this girl out of her. Asked this girl had a lump sum of money. Her and her mama had some money. Like they were kind of well off. So when you're dealing with a con artist, when you're dealing with someone that has nothing, they gonna play on what you want. So he basically played on her mama. She was a Christian woman, she was single, and he basically played on her. And then took their money and then took this girl money for a store, then rationing the mama money, their own money to him. That's stupid. He ain't. What? How you gonna be rationing people their own money? But, okay.
I thought I had the flu because half the campus was gone from the university, and I come home thinking that I had the flu. I went to the emergency room. I did not have the flu. I was pregnant with my 16-year-old. And when my mother finds out about it, she tells him, this was like maybe a Wednesday or something. Well, that Sunday at church, he brings it up over the pulpit.
Sound like.
And he's like, yeah, y'all talking, running your mouth, bumping your gums. Yeah, my daughter, Cece, yeah, she pregnant. And so what? She's off. She in college. She grown. She can do what she want to do. She handling her business. She making straight A's. She doing what she needs to do. Something better than some of y'all doing down here. So why you worrying about her, talking about her, and running your mouth on her? That's not a God. This and that. So he puts my business out over the pulpit, that I'm pregnant. I hadn't even had a chance to tell anybody yet because I just found out. So at this point, everybody in the church looking at me, and then of course you get the amens. Yes, Bishop. All right, now praise God. All of this, which was all fake. Because of course they had been talking about me. I'm the pastor's daughter. I'm pregnant. I'm this and that. I'm in school. I'm a hoe. I'm, all of these things. When I had been with the guy that I was dating for over a year, through high school and then in college and, just all of these things. So as I, got further along in my pregnancy, I got sick. I had to withdraw from school due to medical reasons, and I came back to Shreveport. But a part of that made me have to move out of my apartment that was on campus, and my mother came down to help me do that. But on the way there, I was driving, and I'm just, driving down the highway, and we're listening to music, and it was quiet. And out of nowhere, my mother just screams out like a yell, like from your soul. Like if you find out your aunt, your mom, or your grandmother dies, you're at work and you just get this unexpected news. She just screaming out. And it scared me. I almost swerved off the road, and I look over and I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? What is wrong? Like this, it literally came out of nowhere. And she's like, Cece, I just feel trapped. I just feel trapped. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, Mom, you don't have to be in this situation. I know that I don't have the most, but we can make do with what we got until we can get away from here. You don't have to feel like that, Mama. We can stay in Natchitoches if that's what needs to happen, And she's like, I just don't know, Cece. I just don't know. I don't know, and I'm sitting there like, man, trapped. Like, how can you be married to somebody and feel trapped when you have the freedom to get in your car and go? I did not understand at that moment what she meant by feeling trapped. So we get to the school, we had to talk to the people there, finally got, all of my stuff taken care of to where I could withdraw from school. And we came back to Shreveport. So I was working in Dwight's store and everything. And throughout my pregnancy, I noticed that my mother was wearing the same clothes all the time. And I'm getting big and pregnant, and she's with me. I'm shopping for my maternity clothes, and I'm just seeing her like looking like a woman that I don't even recognize, because my mother is very well put together always. So I, kind of pry into the situation, and that's when she explained that she didn't have the money. She didn't have anything to do for herself. She couldn't buy clothes. She couldn't do the things that she liked to do within her nails and toes and all of this. And I'm like, oh, wait, no. So I'm, 8-9 months pregnant, and I take my mother shopping. We went to Stage and we just went shopping. And we come home and we had a ton of clothes, and she's like, Cece, I can't take these in the house. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you can't take these in the house? You didn't spend your money on them. I did. I have checks to prove it. Like, would he care that I bought it for you? She's like, baby, no. This is something that I can't do. So we kept them in my car, in my truck, and in my closet, in my room, and in the spare closet, in my baby's room that we had used, which was my sister's old room. And, we slowly, gradually populated her closet with these clothes. And at that point, it's like gradually coming to my understanding what she meant by feeling trapped, just not having the things that you're used to and not being able to do for yourself, and just feel like you could leave and actually have the finances to do it. So I'm, watching things go on, and I noticed that there was, when we would get to church, I noticed, my mother would just look sad. I noticed Dwight was all proud, his chest was all poked out. And then there was inappropriate looks from another one of the church members.
Oh, y'all, before we go any further, I do want to say this. It is so, I'm going to be real, y'all. It is so sad for this man to try to to break someone the way that he did. It seems like he tried to break this woman. This woman's spirit was broken due to a narcissistic ass wannabe pastor. That's all what he is. Ain't no way you can say you love God, but a woman, when God blesses you with a woman, God didn't put women on this earth to be walked over and to be controlled like he was trying to control the woman. The woman couldn't even buy her own damn clothes. She couldn't even get her hair done. None of the things that she used to could do, she couldn't do that no more because this man trying to break her because he wanted all the money so he can get all the damn come up because he's sitting up here buying the people in the buying the young girls in the church. Let's listen in a little further.
And I'm just kind of trying to see like what's going on. You know, of course, women, they say we have an intuition, and it truly was that. I'm looking and I'm seeing things and I'm like, nah, that can't be. Mind you, I'm pregnant. So I'm like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's my hormones. I don't know what's going on, but okay. So as time progresses, you know, I'm still seeing these things. And one day I'm at home, I'm in the kitchen, making me something to drink. And my mother screams out. And I could not tell where the scream was coming from, but she screams, Cece, 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 help. And I'm like, what the heck? So I'm big and pregnant and I'm running through the house and I'm looking from the living room to the bathroom to my sister's room, my room, you know, every room. And I finally get to her room with Dwight and the door is closed. So I swing it open and he has my mother's face in his hands. Like his right hand was on her face. She's to his left and his right hand is grasping her cheeks. To the point that when I saw her face was red, he's looking demonic, standing over her, and she's just looking at him. And I told him then, I said, I'm going to give you 5 seconds, and not even that, to let my mother go. And at this point, all I can do is tell you to let her go because I am pregnant. But I am almost due. Please know that the moment I drop this child, you are not safe in this house or anywhere else. Let my mother go. He let her go and he turned to me and he's like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? I said, I'm not here to talk to you. I'm gonna just leave it at that. You let her go. That's all I needed you to do. At that point, my mother tells me to call the police. So I go to get the phone because my stuff was still in the living room and I get back to the room and I'm calling the police and I'm like, well, what do you want me to say? And I'm getting ready to tell everything. At that point, she tells me not to say who he was or what was going on because she did not want any consequences or publicity for the church to badmouth him. You know, she didn't want it publicized on the news or anything like that. So I'm sitting there like, what? This man just had you by the face. She had nail prints, and not just prints, but her skin was broken from how hard he was squeezing her face at the edge of the bed. And I'm like, what is going on? So as I'm on the phone calling the police, he, you know, brushes past me and leaves out of the house, gets in the car and speeds off. And my mother, she's still telling me, you know, not to say anything in regards to his name. Just, you know, just say what I saw, but not give much information. So they get to the house and they talk to my mother. The police get there. And of course, my mother is just very general with her story. You know, they do ask her, did she want to provide a name? She says no, you know, and they're like, well, ma'am, I would advise you to not do that. For your safety, you should say something. You know, this is how people end up dead. And she's like, no, I don't want to say anything. You know, so they do just like a general report and they leave. He was gone for several days after that. He didn't come back home. And he finally comes home, and when he's there, he's, you know, kind of acting like everything is okay. He never apologizes to my mother that I know of. He never apologizes to me or anything. So A few weeks later, I go into labor and he's up at the hospital again, like nothing ever happened. He's sitting in the room while I'm laboring, talking to my daughter's father's father. They were both pastors. And they're arguing back and forth over the baptism in Jesus' name and Father, Son, and Holy Ghost and all this stuff in the room. And I'm literally sitting there looking like, y'all, I'm having contractions. Please stop it. So it's like he had no connection of the severity of what he had done, what I was going through. He's still, in his mind, this pastor, and he's going toe to toe with the Baptist bishop,
Hey,
and I'm just like,
hey,
okay,
James got
this is ridiculous. So as time, goes on, I have my daughter, and when I say he, for whatever reason, took hold to my daughter, he loved Samaya. He always had Samaya. When church was over, he'd come get her. When I'm at the house, if my mom was doing something, he'd have her. It was constantly like Samaya, Samaya, Samaya. Now, I never thought anything of it. In my mind, this is his grandchild. He loves her. This is, he's no different than my father would be with my granddaughter, with his granddaughter. So I'm still not ever knowing, because my mother did not tell me what happened, why he grabbed her in the face. So, a few months later, I moved out. I got my own place. Dwight bought me a living room set of furniture. When he bought me the furniture, it was a couch and like a recliner. My mother got upset because she said, well, that's all he bought you. But he went and bought another somebody a full house full of furniture, everything, bedroom set, living room set, washer and dryer, and this and that. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, hey, well, that's her. I'm self-sufficient. I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm gonna handle mine. I got this. But not knowing that eventually it would come out that this is one of the younger women in the church that he was dealing with. So as time progressed, Dwight and my mother built a home from the ground up. They put a Bible in the entry of the doorway and everything. Like this was going to be a home for them where God was going to be honored and everything. And a few months after building the home, my mother expressed that they were receiving foreclosure notices, but Dwight hadn't been there. And I was in college. I had gone back to school. And so I would drop my daughter off. And, I did not remember seeing Dwight there. I would drop her off in the morning. I worked at Target, so I would get off late and I'll go and get my daughter. And Dwight still wouldn't be there. And I'm like, well, where is he? It's not church. It's not, what is going on? So finally, my mother told me that Dwight had not been there. He had moved out, and she had all these foreclosure notices. And she's like, I don't even know where my own husband lives. He doesn't live here. And I said, excuse me? She's like, no, I don't know where he lives. I said, oh, well, after tonight, I assure you, you will. So I left, took my daughter home with my fiance. At that time, I was engaged. And I let him know that I had something to do. He thought I was crazy because I was putting on all black and hoodies and everything else. And I was like, I gotta go. I'll let you know what's going on when I get back. So I knew that this young individual in the church that my mother had made me aware of, I knew where she lived because I was really good friends with her sister. And so I went to her apartment. I drove in the complex to look around to find her car, found her car and her sister's car. So I knew she was at home, drove out of the apartment complex, and I went into the front of it and parked at Firestone. No sooner than I backed in a parking spot, she speeds out of the apartments, barely stops at the stop sign, like does a stop and roll. I put my car in drive and I gun it and I'm following her. Another church member had said that she wanted to come along with me. So she tagged along and she's sitting in the passenger seat. She has eyes on this other individual as I'm speeding, trying to catch up with her. That's how fast she was driving. So I finally catch up with her, but I'm kind of staying back. And she is driving like she knows exactly where she's going. As we get in this subdivision of the house, where his home was at the time, it's dark. No street lights are in there. The only light on the streets are home, like the house lights in the front. And she's just turning from corner to corner, street to street. She knew exactly where she was going. This girl led me directly to Dwight's house. And when she pulls up, the garage lifts up as she's turning the corner, as though she had a garage door opener or something like that. So I'm sitting there like, this girl, she done been here. This is not her first time. So I get on the phone with my mom and I'm calling her and I'm like, Mama, I found where he stays. I'm about to walk up to the house and get the address off the house. I'm getting the house number. She's like, Cece, be careful. Be careful. You know, Dwight liked to shoot people. I was like, oh, well, then I'm just going to be dead tonight because I'm not going nowhere. This is some BS and I'm sick of it. Like, this is not okay. So I walk up to his door, read the house number off to my mother, go to the street corner because he lived in like a cul-de-sac. And I look at the street name. So I put the two together, give my mother the address. She puts it in her car navigation and she starts heading that way. So as I'm walking back toward the house, I see the garage lifting up again. So I'm standing in the middle of the cul-de-sac and I get on the phone with my mom and I said, do you want me to let her leave or what? Because I have the cul-de-sac blocked off with my car at this point. And I'm like, whatever you tell me to do is what I'm going to do. And she's like, Cece, no, don't do it. Do not fight her. Don't fight her. She's not worth it. Don't fight her. I'm like, Mom, you don't understand. I don't know if I can do that. And the car then backs up. I see her lights, her rear lights come on. She backs out of the garage and the garage comes down as she's pulling out. She turns around in the cul-de-sac and she comes toward me. And I walk up to her window and I look her square in the eyes and I just bite my lip like, you really are saved by my mother's honor, me honoring my mother's wishes. And then I look in the back seat and I see she has her children. So she took her children over there with him. So this is obviously nothing new again. So of course I'm not going to cut up and act ugly in front of anybody's kids. So I walk away from the car. I go get in my car and drive out of the cul-de-sac and she speeds off around the corner. So as I, find somewhere to park kind of in the shadows, I notice another church member pulling up. So she pulls up. Then my mother pulls up. So my mother pulls up and I get out to talk to her and she's like, what house is it? Which one is it? And I point, it's kind of, it's in the middle. I'm pointing and she's like, this doesn't make any sense. I can't believe this. I cannot believe it. How you don't pay your mortgage, but you can come stay here and pay this mortgage and you paying rent for another person, and which is the girl who was over there. He's paying her rent and doing all of this. And I'm like, Mom, I don't know, but at least now you know where he is. Well, while we're talking, the garage comes up again. So me and her walk over to my car because it's him leaving the house. So at this time, he backs out and comes up the street, and my mother is parked at the end of the cul-de-sac. She had a very distinct car. It's like a maroon Lexus. So when he drives up, he looks down and he notices like this car looks familiar. So he stops like abruptly and gets out his car, well, his work truck, because that's what he was driving. And he circles around my mother's car at the time. So as he circles around her car, she jumps out. And when she jumps out, he's like, what the F are you doing here? Like cussing. What are you doing here? What you doing at my house? And she's like, I'm your wife. I should have a key to this place. What do you mean? Why am I here? Why are you here? And why was she here? She's asking all the important questions. He's telling her, mind your business. You ain't supposed to be here no way. And he's getting closer and closer to her. So at this point, I'm having flashbacks about what happened when I was pregnant. So I stand up on my car, like in the door frame, and I'm like, look, you just better not touch her. Say what you want, but don't touch her. So then he's like, what you gonna do? I already told you, you want to fight, you think you big and bad, blah, blah, blah. I shoot niggas, and I kill niggas. I'm from the street and all this. And he's just going off, telling me what he used to do and all that. And I said, well, this ain't that. So you can say what you did and what you used to do, but I'm going to let you know that this ain't that. Touch my mother and you're going to see. This ain't that. So he never touched my mom. He's telling me to get in the car. She's telling him, Dwight, I don't understand this, blah, blah, blah. He gets in his car. So my mother gets in her car. I get in my car and we're trying to leave. So my mother calls me and she's like, I think he's going over there to her house. Well, we need to go to my house. So I guess when he realizes that we're not following him where he's going, he decides to start riots in the streets. So he's trying to run us off the road. He's trying to slam on brakes so we can hit him. So we ultimately, because it's my car and two other church members' cars, because toward the end of the altercation, another church member pulls up, we had to surround my mother's car so that he could not get to her vehicle. And we're driving down the street, just driving, and he's trying to hit my mother. He's calling my mother. My mother is on the phone calling us. So finally, we're like, we just need to call the police. As we get closer to the home, my mother, of course, is on the phone with the police, and they detain him at the corner right before we turn to the main road to get to her subdivision. And when we get there, I'm just like, Mom, this is enough. You need to get your stuff and you need to go. Like, it's time to go. I don't know why. I don't know how all this happened, and it's a whole lot of stuff behind it that I'm sure I don't know, but you need to go. So she packed up some things at that point in time, and she came to live with me at my apartment. 2 days later, my mother walks out of the house and her car is gone. He used his spare key to just take her car, and she had no vehicle, no money, no nothing. And she was forced to live with me. And from that moment on, my mother has had to start over with her life from the ground up. She was on housing. She had to get a 1-bedroom apartment in the projects just so she could live and survive and start literally from nothing. Someone else had to buy her a cash car because she didn't have her car. Between my car, my fiance's car, she would use those until she got hers. She had to, start back working in corporate America and just all of these things because Dwight lost it. And before all of those things could take place, we had to leave Louisiana because Dwight was threatening to kill all of us. We had to leave and go to Edwardsville, Illinois, and we stayed there for about a week. While I was there with my fiance, the pastor there was telling us we needed to get married while we were up there. And we were engaged, we were planning a wedding and all of these things, and we both denied doing it. We were like, no, we're having a wedding. This is what we want to do, blah, blah, blah. But that's just how much it was pushed and forced upon people in the church to get married, that there was a greater situation going on, but we pull up and there's two of us there and they're like, oh, let's get y'all married. No, we're not doing that. So by the time we get back, my mother starts kind of shedding some light into deeper things, of the history of all that she had come across into Dwight's interaction with this other young woman that was in the church. Their phone calls, their history of text messages, rumors of her son being his, and just all types of things that I had no clue about. And, I just honestly thank God that we are out of it, but we both honestly still have PTSD when it comes to going to church and trusting someone to lead us and cover us and, that sort of thing. And even just trusting people in general, because All of that took place in a span of like 6 years. And there were other things that happened in between there, but none of it was good. And to now see this, that he has Jordan under, in his talons, like a hawk's got a snake in his talons. And, he's probably just feeding her whatever, he's got her scared and afraid and feeling as though she can't leave. If my mother was a grown woman that had her life together, when I mean together. Everything that I am, my mother was 3, 4, 5, 6 times over. And she had her life in order and she felt trapped. Like she couldn't get out. So imagine how Jordan is feeling at this time when she's 19 and has never experienced life ever. So that's why I'm here, because I know firsthand how he can be.
Wow. Cece, thank you for again the courage. Every time one of Dwight.
Okay, guys. So before we go any further, guys, let's discuss this. And how you guys. Let me put myself back up on the screen. How do you guys feel about this entire situation? Like, it's like it's like I don't even have the words to even express how this man has basically destroyed this woman's life. This woman had to go on. You can blame him, but you also have to blame. She has to also take accountability of her part as well, because she allowed him to play on her. Yeah, he's definitely abusive. He's definitely a narcissist. He's definitely not called by God. I don't give a damn. I don't care. If you listen, sir, you ain't called by God. You know what I'm saying? I know we all sin and we all saved by grace, but you are not called from God. You are the devil's spawn. Let me tell y'all something. Most prisoners or people that get in, that come out of prison, know that usually when they go to jail and they have like offenses where they can't get a good job, they usually will go to doing being a pastor. And then they prey upon the church people. Yeah, he definitely should be ashamed of himself. Yes, that's what he do. And that's why he wanted a younger woman such as Jordan, because he knows that he can mold her, intimidate her, and make her be whatever he wants her to be. You know what I'm saying? And for him to sit up there and this got a house built from the ground up, left that wife. Once he realized that, I'm just gonna be real, y'all. Once some people are, and he's a user. I'm gonna say that too. He is a whole damn user. Some people will use you until the well run dry. Once that woman ran out of money, when he had no more use for her, he left her high and dry. And then to make the add insult to injury, then he trying to run her off the road, trying to threaten her life due to the fact that he did that to her. He the one that left his wife high and dry and had to move with her daughter to be on welfare. It ain't nothing wrong with being on there. Let me just be real. But I definitely want to say that ain't no man of God does no mess like this. Money is the root. It is just in the Bible. Money is the root to all evil. And money is, and to Dwight Reed, I believe money is the most powerful thing he wants. And that's the most powerful thing that he had. But see, he had said in his last sermon that, he said Sunday that, he don't care if people leave the church. But let me just say this, sir. let me just say this and let me just keep it damn real. The people in the church is the one that pays your salary. If everybody in that damn church decide to leave, you ain't got shit. You back to square one. So anyway, she was a better woman than me because she had someone done that to my mother. I'd be in jail. And see, she was listening to her mother, respecting her mama. But I'll be the same way about mine. Ain't no way you're gonna do my mama like that. Left her with nothing, and then threatening their life. You know what I'm saying? And then what you gonna do? Aggressive. I have never met such an aggressive pastor. Y'all use God instead of using God as a way to reach people. Y'all using God to get women. Y'all using God to manipulate people's minds, body, and spirits. Preying upon weak women that are for God. And y'all do crap like this. So I don't care what nobody says. I understand why some people say they don't want to go to church. Maybe we need to do a discussion on that, why some people don't want to go to church because they don't trust people like this that use church as a way of getting over and manipulating people. But he needs to be held to the fire for sure. So guys, let's listen further. But it just pissed me off knowing that because that's user. When he had asked that girl to borrow a 17, 18-year-old young lady to borrow some damn money to start his own damn business, you should have knew then he wasn't gonna be shit. Exactly. That's a red flag. When a motherfucker ain't got shit, but gonna do all what he can to help you lose your shit and take it and then go on to the next bitch, he ain't shit. I know, I'm let me just comment on down, but that's just the way I feel about it. I know I'm getting a little passionate about it, but I just feel like he was a bomb. She took in a bomb and made him something. And I bet you the other wives can say the same thing. But once he get down on his luck, he finds somebody else to take advantage of. He probably did it all 3 marriages before Jordan. See, now he took over his daddy church. Remember now. You remember what the niece said? The niece said that when the mama and the daddy passed away, he got the mother. I ain't gonna say allegedly. The mother signed over everything to the church, and then the church signed everything over to him. So he got money now. But before all that happened with the parents passing and all that, he ain't got shit. He didn't have shit. Anyway, y'all, let me get back. Let me. Oh, he have shit, child. And I don't give a damn. Say what you want to say.
Family members speaks. We want to be deliberate to pause to appreciate the courage and the measure of selflessness it takes to be vulnerable like that, and to give us insight into what the common culture is.
I know, Donna.
In this man's home, and why it's so important is, again, if this is going on, this is Dwight's stepdaughter from his 3rd marriage.
Let me say this also, then I'm gonna let it play for. I swear to God. I do also want to say, you're right, Donna. See, if his mother and father was not getting ill, child, if they wouldn't have never gotten ill, and he found a way to try to get their money, and I'm gonna put myself on the screen because I'm gonna keep it all the way funky. If he never would have, and this is my opinion, if his father and his mother never would have felt ill, and he knew that he was gonna play this trick of taking over everything and taking the money and everything like that, he would have found another woman to get over on like that. You know what I'm saying? He would have did the same thing to another woman. And I just really truly believe that. That's what kind of person he is. He finds women that are weak, and then he prey upon them. And then once he got what he wanted from them, he left them high and dry. And see, now when his mother and father got sick, that was his next come up. And you see it, and I ain't lying. And God rest their soul, child. Yes, child. Let me just say this, y'all. We have to we have to learn how to love ourselves. We have to learn how to recognize when, you know what? We have to recognize an ain't shit ass motherfucker. Let me just say that. We have to recognize that. Even myself, I'm talking to my damn self, But when you got to get a man, if you're a woman that has her life together, meet a man that has the same exact things that you have their own car, their own house, their own shit, got money, instead of you doing and giving for him. Because that lets you know he ain't shit but a fucking user and a loser, and he just gonna get over on you, and when all your money is dried up and gone, he gonna leave you hanging. And then you gonna sit there and be in fucking debt. Dealing with an ain't shit motherfucker. Let me just keep it real. And I don't give a damn. He ain't shit in my book. He ain't no goddamn pastor.
This is going on, as she said, with her grown mother who had her own world. Again, I want you all to sit with the fact that a teenager,
make sure you guys sign the petition,
graduated from high school, a teenager who has not experienced anything in life, a teenager whose brain biologically is not even completed forming, a teenager who is now married and in that home. And for any of us to sit without concern about a Black young woman who is in what can again only be called contracted abuse should be concerning. Jeremiah 22:3. Thus said the Lord, execute judgment and righteousness and deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor. That's what the word of God instructs us to do, and we should be concerned when, in the name of God, this is happening. Elder Charles, what's your that was an astounding account. What do you get with that, Elder Charles?
Quite a harrowing ordeal. It was like a horror show. And to just hear that eyewitness testimony about what happened and the violent mannerisms of this individual, so typical of predatory behavior. My background as a counselor and working in mental health, and also as a teacher, I've seen this type of thing time and time again, and there are red flags, warning signs, and they're all present here. Everybody who is in the audience has heard this go forth. They've heard the testimony. There can be no doubt that that this young girl is in danger right now, even at this present time, clear and present danger from the behaviors of this individual, the violence, the temper explosions, the profanity, the cussing, verbal abuse, physical abuse. Yes. So sign the petition, folks. It's up at the top. If you have not signed it, sign it. And we've got to take some action on this. You heard eyewitness testimony. So this is not he said, she said. This is not what anybody said that somebody said, as has been a lot of accusations coming from church folks about, well, that's rumor, this, that, and the other. No, no, no. This is why when I shared the room on Clubhouse, I said eyewitness. You got eyewitness testimony here. And we know how valuable the scripture makes eyewitness testimony. This has to be taken seriously and considered by everyone that has heard this tonight. It's time to do more than pray. It's time to take action.
Problem.
Yes, sir, Elder. It is time to take action. If you're just coming into the room and you have not already sign the petition. I want to encourage you to do that. We need as many signatures as possible. As we're coming to Des Moines, we are not just coming to have prayer, though we're going to pray. We also are meeting with the powers that be, petitioning them, urging them to investigate what is clearly a breach of fiduciary responsibility. Title 16 of Iowa's Criminal Code names clergy members right next to mental health professionals in terms of fiduciary responsibility in maintaining ethical boundaries between those who have been under their care and themselves when it comes to romantic and or sexual involvement. So click that link and click the petition.
And very much to the point about the story that I'm about to tell. This is my son.
There is doing what she needs to do for the moment.
Who is my mother? Oh, y'all know Sister Sarah. Y'all know who she is, and this just did not.
We should be concerned when, in the name of God, this is happening. Elder Charles, what's your that's.
But and then I had other experiences with deacons. About the.
Hold on, y'all.
At 15.
Because I want y'all to hear this.
Impacted your faith, how that impacted what you knew and the league the Lord had called and assigned you to do. Because we've got to be clear, again, those of you that are listening, about the depth and breadth of this kind of abuse and how far it goes, not just even in these personal situations, but with all of these members who have come out of this church after having experienced this type of cultish, abusive environment, that this does not only interrupt their relationship with that church and or with that pastor, this has faith-altering impact in relationship to God, in relationship to worldview, global meaning making, how they experience the outside world and people in general, that a person's faith, relationship, and pursuit with God, and subsequently their relationship with the community of faith is rooted in one of the most vulnerable parts of their being. And to experience that there, how that alters their, again, relationship with God, the community of faith, the word of God, and the world at large, should be of concern.
And I'm
trying to get, because Pastor Long.
Her mother is not complicit with this, has had no voice in this, and did not participate in this in any way. And in time, her mother will share her own experience and her own story. One of the things we want to do is be deliberate about empathizing with the measure of emotional and psychological and even spiritual strain and fatigue that people who are coming through and out of these kinds of experiences will be experiencing. And again, in the days to come, we will hear that. Thank you all again, Cece and Sister Carter. We appreciate you. Chelsea, is it Chelsea? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, sir. It's Chelsea.
Chelsea, grace and peace to you. So I know I literally just saw the message that you had sent to me here on Clubhouse last week. Clubhouse, sometimes you all doesn't send those messages through. Let me say this too. I saw Chris. I don't know, Chris, if you're still in the room. Now, Chris, I told you I was going to tell the saints. I tried to call you, Chris. I didn't get you. Get back at me, man. I want to speak with you. Chelsea had sent a message. I know she spoke with Bree. Chelsea was a member of the church there in Shreveport and wanted to share with us what her experiences were as a young girl there.
Thank you, Bishop. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Good evening, everybody. My name is Chelsea, and I was under Dwight Reed's pastoral care, if we'll call it, between the ages of 12 and 16. My experiences with him were very questionable in nature. As a child, I thought that he was doing the things that he was doing because he wanted to protect me and that he had, you know, my best wishes in nature at heart. Um, he would he made it very clear that he was um very interested in my sexual nature if I was involved in having sex at that age. If I was sexually active, he would call me into his office. Um, Almost any time I was at the church, I was being called into the office. He would have me sit on his lap. He would uh, touch me, you know, in areas inappropriately. And he would, you know, ask me, did I know what sex was? If I was being involved with anybody. There were several occasions where he would ask me to take pregnancy tests, and he would sometimes he would give them to me, and he would just tell me to go in the bathroom and pee in a cup. There were several times where he gave those pregnancy tests to Sister Carter, who was his wife at the time, and she would just politely ask me to just go to the bathroom. And there was never any, you know, stir or fuss about it. I don't really think anybody knew what was going on. Um, and throughout those 4 years, he became very obsessed with the idea of me getting pregnant. So at 15, I did get pregnant with the little dude that I was seeing in high school. And when I got pregnant, I was scared. I was scared to go to church. I was scared to tell Dwight that I was pregnant. I was scared what he would say or what he would possibly do. So there was a lot of time after I found out that I was pregnant where I was not present in the church. And it was out of fear because I didn't understand, you know, what he was trying to do or what his motive was. So after I had my daughter, I decided to go back to church, and some time had kind of went by. He never really had spoke to me after I came back. He didn't really you know, he there wasn't really too much that he had to say to me. Well, this was shortly after, so the old church, the old building of the church, they ended up having a new building put up on the same grounds. And it was shortly after the new building was put up. It was, I want to say, it was a Sunday. I don't really remember. It was either a Sunday or a Wednesday Bible study, but um, he asked me to come up to the front of the church, and he had me stand in front of the church as he tried to preach a sermon about how we have, basically, he called me a whore, across the pulpit, and said that this is why we need to keep our young girls safe in the church. We don't know what kind of predators are out here in the street, and this is why we need godly women to protect our girls. And then he then he went on to say, "Oh, but y'all know Sister Sarah, who is my mother. Oh, y'all know Sister Sarah. Y'all know who she is. And well, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Just being a Jezebel just runs in her blood, and we should have paid more attention to her." But not knowing, the congregation not knowing, he had been taking very special attention to me and my sexuality. And I had never really thought nothing else about it. After that day, I never came back. I never spoke to him again. Um, I just moved on with my life at 16, 17 years old. Because at that point I had just turned 17. Um, I just moved on. I left and I never came back. Um, I didn't rejoin another church within the apostolic faith until I was in my 20s. And then I had other experiences with deacons um approaching me, trying to offer me money for sex, and things of that nature. So this is a culture within the apostolic faith. Just from my experience, my mother has shared her experiences with me about Dwight. When he first came down to Shreveport to start the Christ Apostolic Temple #2 church, when he came down, my mother vividly recalled that he was trying to marry her off to one of the men in the church. And I don't know what all went about with that because I was very young at the time. But she told me that when she denied to be married off to this man, he went forward to try and humiliate her in front of the church. Um, he talked about the way she dressed. He talked about the way she carried herself. Um, and then come to find out later on in the years, the reason why uh, he was trying to marry her off to this specific man was because there was a question of his sexuality, that he was a gay man in the church. He was a deacon, and he was trying to cover it up by marrying him off to another woman in the church. Um, I say all of that to say this. When I found out about the marriage with Jordan, I immediately was like shook up in my spirit. I told my husband that this just did not sit right with me. I told him something was very wrong with this situation. I wasn't really sure what it was. I could look at the pictures and tell that she was a very young girl. But I didn't know how young until I started to do my research into what was going on. And it really triggered me because this was a situation that was very familiar in a lot of ways. Um, I truly believe in my spirit that he was trying to groom me for whatever disgusting purposes he was trying to groom me for. Um, and that when I came back to the church with the baby, that I destroyed his plans. I'm very concerned for Jordan because I know that he is a predator. I know this for sure because he was very much a predator to me. And if at 12 to 15 years old, you're having conversations with me privately about sex and asking me to take pregnancy tests and things of that nature, um, I can only imagine what he has said or done to her to get into her mind to have her believe that what he's doing is okay.
Wow. Wow. Again, you all are hearing from first person experience.
So guys,
thank you, Chelsea, for again your
Jessia, guys, she is one of the members that was one of the members of the church. And we definitely want to discuss that, guys. It's sickening. I definitely want to say it's very sickening of this man to tell this girl that she can't have sex and she can't do this and she can't do that, but you sitting there touching her inappropriately like that. Like, he was grooming her to be his next wife, in my opinion. He wanted her to be like Jordan, not touched, no sex. He probably did Jordan the same way. If he did her like that, he did Jordan like that too. And it's sad to be sick in the mind like that. He needs to be properly investigated. especially if he's touching children inappropriately. Sick ass. Anyway, y'all, the next thing I am going to do is, I know that Jordan's grandfather came on, and I do want to let you guys listen to that.
Sold his daughter out.
I accept one, but I'll do it. So, if you haven't already signed the petition, we need you to do that. Click the link at the top and sign the petition. If you haven't shared the room, please share the room right now and help us. We're getting ready to hear from in just a minute. Some people have been asking about why nobody from Jordan's family has spoken out, and why no one from Jordan's side of the family has spoken up. And again, I want us to, and we'll be able to understand it differently when we hear from her mother, but her mother is doing what she needs to do for the moment to safeguard her other two young children, to regain her own sense of strength. And her father, however, walked her down the aisle. And as I understand it, there were other family members of Jordan's who were present and could have spoken. And we're going to hear in just a minute from Jordan's paternal grandfather, her father's biological father, tonight. I do want to say this. I want to appreciate Jasmine, who I'm here is Jasmine N.A., who, again, it is us having seen her having these conversations online that, and it was sent to us, that got us involved to come alongside all of you saints and kind of aid in organizing and unifying, because there's a strength that nobody has by themselves, that we have as a collective. And when the many, M-A-N-Y, speak as one. And one of the things that I want us to be mindful of and attentive to, again, as we are all aimed at one thing, and that one thing, or a couple of things, but that one primary thing being the safeguarding of this teenager who is married to, again, you're hearing it for yourself, what can only be defined as a predator, what can only be defined as an abuser. That marriage is contracted abuse. That's all that is. It's legal, permitted, blatant, overt abuse right in front of our face, that we have to keep that as our focus. And while we may not agree with the way some people may share their experience or may lift their voice, we gotta be able to see through their practice, to see into the heart and what the goal and the objective is, which is, again, safeguarding that teenager and restoring and bringing healing to all of these saints of God who have come out of what is obviously an abusive situation. The sure way to weaken the strength of any people or any collective is to cause one to be at war with the other, when we're all working towards the same goal. And so put some of those smaller things to the side, and let's unify our voices together, our strengths together, to be able to accomplish the end goal. And you all will be able to deal with some of those other things down the line. She lifted her voice. Family members have lifted their voice. Tonight, we're hearing other folks lifting their voice. Men of God, women of God from across the country lifting their voice. Every one of us has a part. None of us can do everything, but every one of us can do something. And we don't all do it the same way, but we're all working towards the same goal. Brother Belcher, I've had the gracious opportunity to speak with. I enjoyed our conversation that day, and we're planning to speak again. Brother Belcher, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you, sir. Thanks for asking. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well. I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
It's 9:50, at least here. I appreciate you hanging out with us and lifting your voice to let it be clear that there are people who even, on that side of the fence who are vehemently against this and are willing to lift their voice to speak against it. And so you are Jordan's father's biological father. Would you share with us what your thoughts are on this marriage and where you are with all of this?
Well, it gives me no joy to share this experience. And Bishop, if I may first, I certainly like to express, my heart goes out to these ladies and what they've gone through with this person, and all of the other ladies and men who've had to put up with this creature. And I guess by me saying this, and the way I've said it, everyone here on this call seems to be very, very spiritual. And I appreciate that, but please understand that I'm very emotional about this topic. And I don't have I may not have the same spiritual background that you have, so please bear with me as I try to be brief and very much to the point about the story that I'm about to tell. This is my son, James Goodlett, and I will give his name because I don't care. The fact of it is, he and I have locked horns over this subject, and we are at a point where we will probably never speak to each other again. As I'm giving my side of the story in this argument that I had with him, and he's giving his side of the story, I had to point out to him that I was arguing on behalf of his daughter, Jordan. And all he could give to me was a defense of his minister, his pastor. And I had to let him know that I could give less than I care, although my words were a lot sharper than that. A lot less than I care about his pastor. My passion was with my granddaughter and the vision that I had for my granddaughter ever since I saw her in diapers and what she meant to me. She's a beautiful girl. She really, really is. And she has 3 gorgeous sisters. But you all need to know that Jordan's father, James Goodlett, sold his daughter out, pimped his daughter out for his own reasons, for his own earthly reasons. And I can tell you what they are, but that's not important. Because when you make the moves and make the decision to put your daughter in the situation that she is now, and he deliberately did it. You need to understand that this was a constructed movement by he and this pastor that went on for more than a year. Set this young lady up for over a year. And when this went on, all you could do, when we finally found out, we could scream to high heaven, what is going on and why are you doing this? And like I said, I can give you the reason why his father did it, but it doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference. The devil has his own reasons. And anything come out of your mouth, but the reality is that I know that her father did this. Now, they try to make it seem as if this is something she wanted to do, but we knew she was crying out. She was in tears. She didn't want to do it. And when we found out the Saturday before the marriage, the Saturday before, all of us were stunned. I'm calling you from Chicago, from the Chicago area. Jordan's in Des Moines. Her mother and Jordan's 2 younger sisters are in Louisiana, just outside of Shreveport. So we're scattered. And when we got word on Saturday afternoon that this wedding was about to happen, we were scrambling to try to figure out what it was we could do. What we could do to put this to an end. And I have two sons in their 30s. And we were thinking that if we have to go to this wedding and stand in the middle of it, we will do that. But understand, that wedding took place the following Monday afternoon. Who gets married on Monday? Who gets married on Monday? You know, I mean, it just came from out of nowhere. And if she was so willing to go along with this, why wasn't any of her side of the family represented? Why weren't we told, hey, Jordan's getting married. Come, share. It is a joyous moment. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Her mother was lied to time and time again about this. And by the time we found out about it, it was a done deal. It was a done deal. And legally, between her father and her now husband, you realize that there's virtually nothing we can do. And by the way, I'm telling you now, she's supposed to be pregnant. She denies it. Why would you not deny being pregnant if you're so happy about being married? She denies it to her mother. Now, how long is that lie going to last? Ask yourself, how long is that lie going to last? But that's the extent of what's going on. But here's the thing. And the bishop and I spoke about this earlier today. I'm going to put this out to you because I want you to think about this. Because the word is that bad people flourish when good people refuse to stand up. There are people in that church, and I'm talking about Jordan's uncle, Jordan's aunt, Jordan's grandmother, Jordan's paternal grandmother is in Cedar Rapids, not far from Des Moines. And her grandfather is a bishop in that church in Cedar Rapids. Where were they? And you talk to them now, oh, how awful it was, how terrible it was. But something about that church has a grip on their mind. A few hours before this phone call, I was speaking with my son about this again. And he gave me a point of view that I had not heard before tonight. Jordan's aunt in that church was quoted in a magazine, a local magazine, about how thankful she was that Pastor Reed gave her the permission to go and get her COVID shot. And how thankful she was that he allowed her to do that. I said, Greg, she's a nurse. She's a nurse. Why the heck is she going asking the pastor for an okay to get a shot when she knows more about the medical world than he does? He knows nothing about it. But I'm mentioning that because that's the psychological, mental hold that this man has on people at that church. I can the tentacles go 1,000 different directions as we start talking this tawdry tale. But the reality is, all of you, please understand. Jordan, her mother, they were all brought up in that church. And there's something about the hold that they have on people in that mentality that won't allow them to see the world around them. They don't know what they don't know. They believe somehow that they know everything they need to know in the world. They know it all. You can't talk to them. They're very, very difficult to reach. And Bishop, I can go further. You know I can. I can get loud and I can get ugly. And I don't need to go that way. But I hope I've made my point of what it is I'm trying to say. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity, because I can't say enough about how disappointed I am. This has been a turning point in my life. It really is. We are people who, this is soap opera stuff. People, this is soap opera stuff that you see on TV. This is supposed to happen to everyday people like us. We're good people. We are good people. And just like the bishop has said at the very beginning of this telecast, forget about the law. Forget about the rules. Forget about that stuff. It comes down to basic right and wrong. Basic right, that's all this is. Basic right and wrong. And nobody, not the Bible, nothing else needs to tell you that this is wrong. This is wrong. And yeah, it has split my family in a way that you will not believe. We'll never recover from this. James Goodlett is an outcast. And when this whole thing blows up, he won't believe where he's standing out there alone, naked, because he cannot even turn to his family now because of the decisions that he's made to put his granddaughter out there. Bishop, I've said enough. Thank you very much.
Wow, Brother Belcher, we appreciate you speaking with us tonight. We can hear the pain in your voice. And
okay, guys, this is if you want to hear the rest, guys, go to Clubhouse or go to look up Bishop Senegal on Facebook. It's on YouTube everywhere. I definitely want to say my heart goes out to the grandfather. Y'all know that he is very, as you guys can see, he is very, very heartbroken. Very heartbroken about this. I bet you he can't believe that his son would do such a thing to give his own daughter away to a pedophile. Because they are not they idolizing. If somebody say that that's crazy, said that her pastor said that she can get a COVID shot. You don't look to your pastor for help. You look to God. You look to God for your strength. You look to God for your need. Dwight Reed is nothing but a man full of flaws. I just want to, let me just say this. I don't know no Bible scriptures, but I got my own personal relationship with God. I guess we'll when the mother tell her story, we'll figure out his story. But I definitely want to say this. Seek ye the kingdom of God in all his righteousness. That means seek God. Don't seek man. Man will fail you. A man like Dwight Reed is full of himself and flesh and wants to be like God because he wants to be worshipped like God. And I'm just going to say this. Get your own personal relationship with God. Make sure you're following the right kind of leadership. Hold your pastor accountable if he's doing stuff that's because he's supposed to be Christ-like. He ain't Christ, but he's supposed to be Christ-like. I don't know. He's an organ player. He has a YouTube channel, child. I done seen his page. Yeah, child, he got a YouTube channel and he plays the organ. So he has a position in the church, so he probably get paid to keep penny. But let me tell you something. Ain't enough money in the world for me to sell my daughter. Not to a sick 63-year-old man. I definitely want to say that. Like I said, I don't know all the Bible scriptures. I don't know, but I know God. And I know I have my own personal relationship with God. And you got to use your sense to know if you have been to church and you know what Jesus did for you and how he died on the cross to save us from our sin, then that should let you know that what is Christ like and what is the trick of the devil. This man is a man that's supposed to be Christ-like. That's supposed to be the man of the cloth, but he's just a man of the flesh. If you are a member listening to this live, stop going off of what he's saying and look at what he's doing. That would matter. People can say a whole bunch of nothing. Just like what I'm saying could be a whole bunch of nothing to you guys. But their actions gonna reflect who they are and what they do. Well, actions and do the same. What they do. Because this man has showed us, and from what he has no integrity. He has no self-conscious. He's all about himself. He's a self-worshiper. He will leave you high and dry in a minute and don't care nothing about it. He is an abuser. He is a narcissist. All other different things. And he's supposed to be, and y'all call him a bishop. What? All I can say is, what Bible college did he go to? Because my pastor went to a Bible college. What Bible college did he go to? Or did he just read the Bible in the prison cell and call himself a Christian? That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, y'all, I'm out. Thank you guys so much for watching, guys. I know that when the wife tells her story, I'll be back and we're going to listen to it. I definitely want to say that if this is not of God, this is of a man that's full of himself and full of is out here in this world and sick and need to be back in a prison cell for molesting minors. Anyway, guys, that's all what I have for tonight. If you guys have not done anything else, guys, please make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please press the subscribe button. And if you have not joined, if you want to join the membership, join the membership. Peace, guys, and have a good night.